everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the UUR. I am Callie Thomas. I am joined by my co-host, Rodnesha Green.
Celebrate the finale. Come on.
Oh, yes. Today, we are going to talk about the penultimate and finale episodes of Wonder Man.
We did it.
So, yeah, before we get into that, what's going on with you, Rodnesha?
I'm okay. I could use a nap. I could use a nap.
Yeah.
It was a busy week. My sister came into town, but not to see me. Well, not really. The purpose was not to see me. The purpose was to take her family on a cruise that was leaving out of San Pedro.
Oh.
So I was the chauffeur, temporary tour guide chauffeur from airport to the cruise pickup and drop off. So I got to see my nieces for a little bit, and then they went and had a good fun time on the boat. And now they are super all about cruises, and they want to take one for their birthday, and they want me and my other sister to come. And my middle sister is very much like not trying to be on a boat. She's very prone to... Well, I say very prone. I don't know that she knows this for certain, but she gets motion sickness with other things, roller coasters, other such things.
Okay.
So I think she's just like deductive reasoning, me on a cruise, on a boat, probably not a great idea. But that is the girls' request. They were like, we want Tanisha and TT on the next cruise. So I guess I got to find some cruise money and figure it out. But I haven't been on a cruise.
Where did they cruise to?
Ensenada.
Oh, okay. I've never. Oh, that's a short cruise. That's nice.
Yeah, it's also 3 days.
I've never been on a cruise either, but I didn't really have any desire to pre-pandemic, and now I really don't.
I was like now I'm sure you're like
sardine can.
absolutely.
I wouldn't enjoy myself. I don't think so.
I didn't have any strong feelings pro or against. I like a boat. You know, I've been on a yacht. I've been on private boats,
right?
And that's fun, like out in the lake or something. So I can be, I'm sure, out on a boat on the water and be fine.
Yeah.
I think the idea of being in a contained space for a good amount of time is like, how would I do? I'd probably mostly be okay.
Yeah.
But then you see these documentaries about the poop cruise and the other things, and it's just like,
right. Yeah. Right.
So
yeah.
worst case scenario, not a good time.
Yeah. It's a prime environment for spreading things if somebody happens to get something, right? Which, depending on where you're going, is more or less likely, I guess. We need to do one of those just like brunch cruises. Have you done one of these?
No.
I did one for a friend's birthday 2 years ago now, I think. But it just, it's just like at 2 hours on a bay somewhere. They do Catalina ones. They do off of Huntington Beach, so off the coast anywhere. Yeah. And they, it was like a buffet style brunch. And that was nice because we kind of, if you're COVID cautious, we did our little like masked, like eat our little thing quickly. And then we spent the rest of it at the top of the deck, Yeah. Smart. And they had games and all kinds of stuff. And
that sounds nice.
Yeah. It was kiddo friendly too. If your kid's not going to jump off the boat, but they had like they had big, tic-tac-toe. They had like the giant Jenga, giant tic-tac-toe, giant like Connect Four things on the deck.
That might be a nice time because like a brunch cruise sounds nice, and I like Catalina. I've been there plenty of times. So
yeah.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind. Well, as we were talking about before we jumped on pod, we were just talking about some of the things we're noticing with audience fluctuations and who's kind of tuning in for Wonder Man. And we noticed we're catching a more male audience this go round, which is kind of funny. But when you said that, it made me think of this video I saw of this Black woman posted this video, and it said something about like, my favorite thing to see is a Black man smile. And she was just going up to random dudes and fist bumping them. It was apparently at a Blurred Con in DC. It's like Black nerds.
Oh, okay.
But all these men.
Yeah.
Were very attractive. And I was just like, where do I need to go to find these attractive Black men? Apparently
Blurred Con apparently
in DC. So I might need to look into some tickets for Blurred Con. We're going to have to do some more content that appeals. Listen, I'm trying to find them. I'll just go ahead. I'm still trying to find a husband, and if I gotta go stalk some Blurred conferences to do it, then that's where we're at. Okay.
More Marvel content coming.
put it on the
To
docket.
increase Rodnesha's dating
Increase
pool.
viewership and increase my dating pool. Why not both? ¿Por qué no los dos? Also, not ruling out the Latinos. Listen, we
She said, see, bilingual, you hear that?
we're not ruling any options out. Okay. Anyway, just had to put that out there. I thought that was funny when we were talking earlier. So guys, yeah, we're talking about the last two episodes today. Callie, how has your Wonder Man journey been so far?
I loved it. I think it's fun. I think it's great. I hope it doesn't go the way of many Marvel TV shows. And this
Mm-hmm.
is, not all that we have.
What do you think the likelihood is that it'll,
I don't know. I
yeah.
It's really, to me, it's really unpredictable because I feel like things that do numbers, it doesn't matter,
True, true. That's very true. Let's go ahead and jump into cast details for episodes 7 and 8. So we know our main cast. We're familiar with them now. They've been with us 6 episodes prior, and they're gonna be with us to the end. We've got Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as Simon Williams, Sir Ben Kingsley as Trevor Slattery, Ex Mayo as Janelle Jackson, Arian Moyed as Agent Cleary. Side note, sorry, I have to say this because my ADD won't allow me to move on. Did you know that Idris Elba got knighted and he's now a sir?
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Sir Idris.
Sir Idris
I said,
Elba.
Fling that title around. Fling it. All right, sorry. Okay, moving on. Our notable guest cast and cameos for these last 2 episodes include Lauren Weedman as Kathy Friedman. It rhymes. Olivia Thirlby as Vivian. Jean Ellie as Terrell, or maybe it's Jean Ellie as Terrell. Don't know. Zlatko Burek as Von Kovac. Joe Pantoliano comes back as himself. Shola Adewusi as Martha Williams. Demetrius Gross as Eric Williams. And Blake Robbins as Chuck Eastman. Kathy Friedman was written by Kira Talese, I believe, Andrew Guest, and Destin Daniel Creighton. And then Yucca Valley was written by Andrew Guest, Destin Daniel Creighton, and Roha Gashtili. And they were directed by Stella McGee?
That's what I think.
Take your pick. All right, so that's our cast.
Okay, so let's get into Kathy Friedman. So, filming on the set of Wonder Man has begun, or is about to begin. Yay! And Simon is so happy. He's so in his element. He's doing well. He's thriving. And so, after a day on set, Simon and Trevor meet with Janelle and the whole team for an important planning dinner that was meant for just Simon, but he wanted Trevor there.
Mm-hmm.
And so the agency wants to capitalize on the buzz of Simon's casting as Wonder Man and keep him booked and busy right away. But under Trevor's advice, Simon decides to focus on just Wonder Man right now and perhaps theater. Perhaps return to the theater. And Janelle is not pleased with this, but she moves on and she lets the pair know that the New York Times journalist, Kathy Friedman, is going to do a big piece on them. Mm-hmm. And so Simon, being familiar with Kathy's work, gets extremely worried about this. And he tells Trevor that Kathy is ruthless. He has a good, fun anecdote about a former boss of ours. We'll get there. And as always, Trevor is just assuring him that it'll all be fine. You worry too much, right? And so after an awkward day of Kathy shadowing them on set, Simon finds out that she has already spoken to Vivian, his ex-girlfriend. Mm-hmm. She's spoken to his mother. And worst of all, she has spoken to Eric, his brother. So Simon is panicked, right? And he feels the need to do some damage control. So first we see him meet with Vivian, and she reveals that she has known about his powers all along, but not to worry. She didn't mention them to Kathy. She only had good things to say. But he ends up not having luck with reaching Eric. And so he's nervous before he and Trevor are about to have a sit down with Kathy for a final interview. So they go into the sit down and Simon tries to preemptively explain that his relationship with Eric is complicated, but Kathy, dismisses this because she's just like, oh, I didn't get that sense. He said great things. He's very proud of you. Mm-hmm. And that relaxes Simon. But Kathy is far more interested in asking Trevor about his arrest at the airport and how an ex-con somehow managed to become a movie star. And so Trevor feels attacked by this and he storms out of the interview. And Simon goes after him and confronts him about the allegations in his trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And Trevor comes clean about the whole thing. And he says, don't worry, I can figure out a way to fix this. We have time. But Simon has heard enough and he exits. And as he's making his way across the studio lot, his powers build up and build up and build up until finally he releases an explosion inside like a soundstage or something and leaves
Mm-hmm.
a huge crater in its place.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. So good though. So good.
Oh man. Boy, oh boy. All right. So we've got our boys. They've finally made it, like you said, to the pinnacle of being number one and number two on the call sheet, right?
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, maybe by deducing it by context clues, number one and number two on the call sheet. So if you're an actor, you get basically a roster that lets you know everyone that's involved in the project, actors, production, etc., who's coming to set that day, times, all that stuff. It's like all the information you need for the day generally. Number one and number two are always reserved for the top actors on your project. So getting up to those spots, it's kind of a big deal, right? That's where your A-listers are going to be, or whoever, your new talent, or your burgeoning star talent rather. And then they pretty much do kind of rank it, again, not in order of celebrity, but priority to the script, right? So if you're further down the call sheet, you're like middle tier actors. And it's not a slight. It's literally just based on the script, the project, the needs. But everyone kind of makes an inside joke of being number one on the call sheet, because being number one on the call sheet essentially means you get to shot call.
You can make changes and requests and things. And a lot of actors will tell you too that whether it's a show or a movie, number one on the call sheet kind of sets the tone for what kind of production it's going to be too, right? If they're super serious, it's going to be a more serious tone. If they are all about like community building and whatnot, it's going to be a more, family feeling set. And you'll see lots of people talk about that in interviews.
Yeah. That's true. And I think people forget, well, I won't say people forget that, but like, I think maybe sometimes that can get lost on the actors who get that place, just depending on, is this their first project being number one on the call sheet? Have they been number one in previous times? Or just, like you said, attitudinally who and how they are. But there are a lot of actors who do realize, like, I set the tone, people are looking to me, I'm like the example, and kind of try to create an atmosphere and an environment based on that to the degree that they can, right? Because even though they are number one on the call sheet, they're still the directors to consider. And sometimes they can set a totally different vibe. But the point being, as an actor, you can be kind of the pace setter for how the rest of the actors are going to emulate. And there's a lot of people who've worked with your big timers, your Meryl Streeps, your Denzels, et cetera, and take their cues off of those people because they're like, this person came to set, they greeted everyone by name, they, made sure we had this and that. Sometimes they'll like bring in, a food truck as a treat and these are not things that you have to do. It's not a mandate, but it's just, again, it's like when you understand that you're kind of the person that's selling the movie, right? Like being number one on the call sheet, you are the person that's putting this movie out there. Everything kind of hangs on you. So you can choose to use that power for good, right? Or for yourself. And
or
you see
have
all
an ego.
kinds. Exactly. And you see all kinds.
So on that note, I got a little worried in this kind of opening montage of things that are happening on the set because part of it was in the makeup trailer, using his number one on the call sheet powers, he has a note to give Von Kovac and one of the writers about a line. and it almost rolls no snowballs into him like major rewrites when he was just like trying to change one line. But thank goodness for Trevor. He's like, what if we just say this? And he's like, I like it. But I was worried at first because I was like, oh
Oh
no,
no.
it's like American Horror
It's
Story all
AHS
over
all over
again.
again.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how they mirror the first scene
Hmm.
in the first episode, right? In
Yep.
this first scene in this penultimate episode, which is Simon in the trailer again. He's going over script. Obviously, you see the differences in the type of
In the
trailer,
trailer,
right? He's got a
yeah,
much
upgrade.
nicer setup now. He's got,
Hmm.
special furniture, lighting, all this space.
Yep.
But we're seeing him do the same process of like going through the script, doing
Hmm.
his warm-ups. That hasn't changed.
He gets to ride in the golf cart this time, when
Yes,
in the first episode he's
they're
told
like,
that's reserved for
that's
number one on the
for
call sheet.
So everything's kind of coming full circle. We're getting those parallel moments that were set up in the first round. And then of course now, like you said, the worry is, oh no, he still wants to change things in the script. He's still got opinions about how that can go. But as we said in the first episode, the difference is when you are number one on the call sheet, you
Yeah.
can shot call like that. You can request the director to come to your trailer during makeup and discuss changes or whatever, whatever. When you
Uh-huh.
are, as we said, middle tier or below, you don't get that privilege. You get your butt to
No.
set and you say your lines and you go home and
You
get your
do what
check.
you're told.
That's it and that's all. So I guess Simon was just the number one on the call sheet who hadn't gotten his place yet because he was like, I'm gonna make
Hmm.
these changes one way or the other. But I do think also there's been a little bit of learning in the sense that that first time he wasn't even just trying to change a line, he was trying to change set pieces, he was trying to change where lighting was going to be. He was like making a
Hmm.
bunch of changes and not
Yeah.
accommodating anybody with his requests, right? And this time it's just a line change. So
Right.
it's either that he respects and trusts Vaughn more, or maybe because he's more inside the situation, he knows like he can trust how
Yeah.
everything is working. And maybe that's the difference. But the point being, he's only asking for a tiny line change up. And it's kind of funny that Vaughn is the one that takes it too far. It's like, well, maybe we
Yeah.
just need to do the whole thing over. And it's like, whoa, 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 no, no one said that. No one said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like you said, thank goodness for Trevor to have like that outsider's perspective and kind of save, from having a total scene rewrite or whatever that could have been. Um, oh, backing it up because I said the first scene was this. That's not true. The very first scene was with Simon and his dad, and they went to the movies. And so we kind of had a continuation
Oh,
of the
yes.
scene
Yes.
from last episode. So in the last episode, we see them at the movies, right?
Hmm.
So now we're seeing essentially they've gone to the movies. Simon and his dad are basically going to eat lunch after the movies.
Hmm.
And we get this moment where first thing I noticed was, again, we see the car. So we have, yeah,
Yeah.
I brought this up sooner, but this is the episode where we see that the car that Simon's dad drove is the car that Simon still has. We already talked about the bicycle. The third
Hmm.
piece of this keepsake trifecta is the Wonder Man sunglasses. So I didn't realize
Hmm.
the first time watching through the conversation that his dad was having about the Wonder Man sunglasses and how he was like, I
Hmm.
always wished I had a pair of the originals just
Yep.
like it. They were so cool to me. And it's like, that's why later on we see him
He was
talking with, yeah, wardrobe and was very insistent on trying to find those sunglasses that are as close to the original as possible. So I was like,
right.
I didn't catch that the first time.
Yeah.
Caught it this time. So again, these are all just like ways of trying to like keep dad feeling like he's a part of this, still involved in his journey. But we also see that it's Simon's dad that kind of put him on this path in this
Hmm.
moment because they have the discussion about the movie and Wonder Man, and then all of a sudden his dad pivots to be like, Simon, I can't wait to see you be up on that big screen. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like,
Yeah.
I've seen you in your plays. You are great. And I'm not one of those dads who just says that, to try to like be nice to their kid. Like you actually have talent. And I think you could go places. And it's clearly you see the switch in that moment of like Simon seeing this as a serious path that he could pursue.
Yeah.
So again, this anchors it even deeper as to why Simon cannot give up on this thing, right?
Yeah.
My dad pulled this out of me. My dad encouraged me and believed in me and saw something there when I didn't. And I can't let that go because, you know, it's deeper than just, I gotta make it, I gotta get there. It's like, no, I've got to complete the vision that my dad instilled in me to become this, you know, great actor. So
Yeah.
that's a nice little moment that we get between the two of them as we head into the trailer scene
Yeah.
and the day on set. Oh, sorry. The other thing I wanted to note, the theater, we see the theater that they were at. Fun fact, another historical theater shout out. They've got them all over this show. The Eagle is a real theater, but it is now called Vidiot's. If anyone is LA local or knows LA, they've kind of repurposed it where now Vidiot's, it's still a theater. They still show movies, but they kind of specialize in showing like older films there. So I guess in a way it's a similar purpose to what we're seeing with Simon and his dad.
They're gonna play a mighty win.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry. On 35 millimeter.
Yes.
R.I.P. Oh
Echo
yeah,
Park.
they're doing a bunch of Catherine O'Hara movies.
Yeah. Yeah. R.I.P. To a great one. To a real one. Okay. So
Sorry,
sorry.
tangent.
Pivot. I think the only other thing I was going to say about the moment with Simon and his dad is when he's in the theater talking to him and they're talking about, or sorry, when they're at lunch talking and he's trying to reach out to his son about the kids that are basically bullying Simon. The first time I watched it, when his dad said the line like, you know, don't worry about those kids. They sniff out anyone who is ... different. And I remembered the first time I was like, oh, wait, did Simon have his powers or was he starting to get his powers and his dad could tell? But now
Yeah.
that we've had the spectrum conversation, I'm like, or
Right. It could just been that.
it was something
Yeah.
like that, where it's like, I know my kid isn't like most neurotypical kids, and that's okay. So now I'm thinking it's more just that he just was very clearly not like most children, and that's why he's getting
Yeah.
bullied and picked on. And his dad's like, it's okay to be different. And again, that just makes you love his dad even more because it's just like,
Yeah.
you know, I get it. I get it. And you don't need to be like those kids. You know, I'm going to encourage you to be exactly who you are and move in your own direction. So I love that. All right. So
Dinner. Yeah. Did you catch that Trevor had a nervous clanking, clattering with his dishware and things when
what's funny is I didn't catch it, but I read your note. And so I knew to
uh-huh.
look for it. And then when the scene came, I was like, oh, yeah,
I was like,
he is.
oh, a little telling when Simon is like, it's okay, I trust Trevor.
He's
He's
like,
like,
yep,
oh,
trust me.
I don't know if
Gotta.
you should trust me.
I'm so trustworthy. Clink, clink, clink. Yeah. Which is funny that you can pick up on that tell now because up to now, Trevor's always been the calm and maintained a steadiness. And that's just like a little
Yeah.
bit of offset that you can note now that we understand his demeanor better. And clearly enough time has passed now too, where he's probably, I don't want to say more nervous, but it's like the pressure has had more time to build behind him, right?
I was gonna say it's like it's building because, the closer they get, the more guilty he feels about it.
So my only note, well, probably not my only note, but one of my notes with the dinner scene. So in this moment, as Callie mentioned in the summary, the whole team is here. They're all trying to pitch Simon on what's next. They're basically already jumping ahead to like, this film is probably going to be great, so we need to start thinking about what the next thing is going to be. And this is a very common practice, especially when you're a breakout actor. It's like there's a strike while the iron's hot mentality with a lot of talents teams, like your publicists, your PR, your agents, your managers, a lot of them. And I hear this even at our kind of lower levels of acting, that once you are in the conversation, once you are in the public eye, that you should just chase after anything people will have you in, essentially. Like,
Yeah.
there's this weird thing of, and it's for the actor, kind of this grappling moment of like, what do I do? I'm now in a position where everybody wants me, right? But that also means that like everything is coming in, good and bad, and you don't know what's going to be good or bad. I mean, some scripts you can read and probably be like,
Yeah.
that's a
No.
turd, pass. But then there's some stuff that might seem good on the page, but then maybe won't be that good when it actually goes to set or
Yeah.
has a director attached, or who knows what. You're in this weird position where all of a sudden you have your pick of the litter.
Yeah.
And many reps will tell you, you want to stay in the conversation, you want to stay busy, you want to be out there as much as you possibly can. Say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes. And there are a few actors that it made me think of, because when we go through the scene at this dinner, and Simon looks to Trevor to be like, what do you think I should do? And Trevor tells him to wait and go do theater and wait for the, better projects or better scripts to kind of roll in. And let people, basically, which is not a bad stance. Trevor is saying, wait till the movie comes out, let people fall in love with
Yeah.
you and see you on stage. Because right now they're just going off of you tied to X project, right?
Yes.
Wait till they see you perform, and then that might determine the type of stuff that comes your way because people know you can handle it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's bad advice, but it's counter to what most of your reps and your team's advice is, which is you just need to start saying yes. And there's so many examples of actors who have done that and that's worked out. And there's a lot of more examples probably of actors who've done that and it wasn't so good for them. I thought the advice that Trevor gave, while risky, and some might see it as risky, I do feel like actors should be more choosy and specific and not just try to be out there so much. Oh, that was the other person I thought of, Tom Holland. And
Oh,
his was more of an issue of burnout, where he kind of had the same
yeah.
thing, where once he became the it boy, all of his reps were like, just say yes to this. And then he's over here talking about how he's having addiction issues and burnt out and tired and stressed and because he's taking on so many projects and has no downtime for himself,
Yeah.
that now he's about to, fade out from all of it. So yeah, it's tough to say no because you want to work and you want to constantly be in the conversation. So much of acting is just being ready for the moment. And then when you have the moment, trying to capitalize on it as best as you can. But it can be fickle. It can be very fickle. You can be in one day and out the next, and you just never know how it's going to go. So you kind of just have to do the thing that makes sense to you and will make you feel the best about your decision, right? If you can handle doing a bunch of work, like I think of Pedro Pascal is one of those who basically say, like, I want to work. I want to be working right now. As long as they want to have me, I'll say yes, right? And they can handle it, and they seem to be doing okay and thriving in that environment. Great. If you know that's who you are and how you are, great. If you know you're the type of person that's like, I kind of want to have very specific roles or work with auteur directors or very specific types of people and sets and and I'd rather kind of be choosy about my projects. And again, that's the gamble, right? Okay, do that. If that'll make you feel good about yourself, hopefully it works out. It may or may not. You never know, but you have to be at peace with that decision. So
I was gonna say, yeah, all of that, that's a big reason why, like, oftentimes if you're feeling like, whoa, this person came out of nowhere, now they're in everything, it's because they don't wait to see how that first film went. They start immediately getting offers and start working on things as that first project is finishing up, because they're getting it based on just being cast in something notable. Even if that first movie ends up being, they've already got the other work. So you see them and you see people be like, you just had 3 films this year and I didn't know who you were last year.
It's that popular girl thing. Like, once you're popular, it doesn't matter. Everybody wants to have you at their party or have you show up at their thing.
Yeah.
Just because you've managed to get in the inner circle. So it's funny like that.
Yeah.
On the note of the dinner and the other things, because the next thing to come up is the Kathy Friedman interview, right? So they're also like, hey, not only that, we need to get you some good PR, some press. Getting a Kathy Friedman issue is a big freaking deal. So when we later see Simon talking about, like, man, Kathy Friedman, I don't know that I want to do that, right? He's clearly read enough articles by her and done enough research on her. And I was kind of surprised that his team did not do the same level of research to decide, like, do we want to put our new talent under that potential scrutiny? I don't know if they just assume, like, there can't be anything wrong with this guy, or I don't know. It just seems interesting that there's enough.
That's my thought, is that they are not worried about there being anything she can twist about Simon. I don't know.
I just don't know I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, I could see maybe that being a good thing for your new talent, but I'd also maybe want to just insure it with a softball with like someone that's just gonna like talk your people up and aren't going to challenge
Yeah.
them in any way and not give
I
them too
think
complex
they're
and
I think they did a risk reward assessment and decided that it would be
worth
uh,
it.
a a bigger boost
Mm.
if it went well than the damage that if it didn't go well.
I guess for me, it's like I'm thinking like, let's get you in People magazine, right? Like, let's just
Right.
do a total lob, volley, easy get where it's like puff piece.
Hmm.
This guy is amazing. You're gonna love him. And look, his sidekick, they're great. And we're not gonna ask too many
Yeah.
deep questions. We're not gonna get too provocative. I think also too, knowing that Simon is not a people person, anyone on his team should know that, especially his agent. I don't know that I'd want to put him in front of someone who's gonna press him too much. I don't know. It to me that felt like not the best move.
He's not a people person, but Janelle has seen him turn on for situations. I think this is something that is like actually right up his alley.
Mm,
Or she's thinking that. She's seen
maybe.
him turn it on
When?
when he turns it on to get his way in there and try to convince her to get him the audition in the first place.
But that's her. I don't know.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is that based on what
Mm,
she knows, she thinks he can do it. I don't
mm.
think she's correct. I don't think her assessment is correct, but I think that's where she's coming from.
I guess.
I don't think she knows he's not a people person.
Interesting.
He has to be a people person around her.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
That's funny.
I just, yeah.
Anyway,
I think I'm also thinking again from previous instances of him getting let go of shows, and I'm sure
yeah.
that's not the only time something like that happened where it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That again, we've seen this whole trajectory that I'm like, are they not thinking of the potential drawbacks of Simon being under pressure and having weird moments when people press him too
And
much?
I think we're also assuming that they got it. Did they say they got the interview, or was it something that's going to happen and they're just informing him?
I don't know. I don't think they said specifically whether to me, just knowing what I know, that's a move that your agent sets up for you. Like, unless Kathy Friedman came to them and said, I want to interview your guy because she already knew she was going to try to dig into this situation. I don't know. But I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure who reached out to who to set it up.
Yeah.
So,
But the the stuff he reads that she wrote about Joseph
Yes.
Gordon-Levitt,
Yes.
I was like, that is such a fun little random addition to this. And so I say random. I was wondering, I was like, is this random? Is it a connection? Does he have a connection to somebody in the show? Is it because of Yaya specifically? Do they have a inside joke, a connection, or anything? Because they did work together on the trial of the Chicago Seven.
Maybe
So
it's
I don't
Yaya
know.
then, because I looked
Yeah,
up to see if any of the writers were connected to him, and that's a no, or if Justin Daniel Creighton was connected to him, and that was a no. So maybe
yeah,
Yaya is the connection.
yeah,
Maybe he improvised that moment. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I asked, but I didn't get a response.
Oh, from Joe?
Side-eye.
Fun fact, Callie has the inside track with Joe.
I do not.
More than me, more than most. We, as Callie mentioned a little bit earlier, if you didn't catch it, we used to work for Joseph Gordon-Levitt when Hit Record was a bigger entity.
Was a production company.
Had a TV show. We won an Emmy. I often forget that.
We've won 2 Emmys.
We've won 2 Emmys.
One for the show and one for the web series.
The web series. So this is all to say, yeah, that I often forget about that. But that was a fun fact, and I was equally curious as you to figure out, like, is there a connection there, or is this just a random thing? Is this like that joke
like
thing?
how he's always in all the Knives Out movies. Like
All
he
of
always
Rian
does a
Johnson.
cameo because he's friends with Rian Johnson. I was looking for something like that, so I wondered.
Same. Okay, we've gone through all of this debating about, are we going to do Kathy Friedman? Trevor seems to be very on board with this. He thinks it's going to be a good thing. I can't believe he's not thinking about the potential again on his end of things.
Right.
How is nobody thinking of the drawbacks? Like,
he's just all team Simon. He's excited about Simon. He's like, this is your big break. This is going to be great for you. But forgetting that he is also going to be interviewed.
Yeah, it didn't even dawn on him.
Right. Even if it didn't occur to him that he could possibly, be outed in his mission right now, I would be worried about the stain of the Mandarin anyway. You know
That
what I mean?
part,
Like,
because they're going to bring it up
even
because
without,
everywhere he goes, they bring
yeah,
it up. Yeah,
yeah,
same. I'd be like, I don't want to do an interview because I don't want to talk about the Mandarin. I don't want to do that. Or that would be
yeah,
my parameters of like, I'll do this interview, but we don't discuss Mandarin. Because that's a thing that actors
yeah,
will put out there for, if they're being interviewed for certain things, certain subjects that they don't want to get into or things they don't want to talk
yeah.
about. So,
And it's totally valid too for him to even not make it about himself. Like, I don't want to talk about the Mandarin because I don't want it to overshadow anything that you discuss with Yaya.
and that would
Or
have been
not
easy to
Yaya,
do.
Simon.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I was just completely like, how is nobody seems to be thinking about, but what if they,
Right.
I guess because of the fact that Simon has established her as this very investigative type of interviewer journalist,
Hmm.
I'd be thinking, would she? Could she? Is it possible she might ask about these things?
Right.
And Simon seems to be the only one worried about it, but okay. So
Yeah.
whatever. I found it funny when Trevor was talking to him and he's like people like you, and he's like no. He's like, Simon or Trevor, I'm not known for my fun chill vibes. He's like, the crew doesn't like me, they like us. They like you and me together on my own. People think I'm a dick. And I
Mm,
was like,
yep.
see, he gets it.
Yeah.
He's
He
nothing
gets
if not
it.
self-aware. Nothing if not
Right.
self-aware. But I found that hilarious that he said that so unfettered. Like he didn't even say it like he felt bad about it. He's just like, I know what people think about
Right.
me.
Again, very autism coded for him to just be matter of fact about it.
Yep.
I
Like
don't
I
feel
get
a
it.
way about it. It's
It's
just,
just
this
what
is
it
what
is.
I have been told.
It's all making so much sense now. It's making so much sense. So when they finally go to meet Kathy, the last thing Trevor tells Simon as far as like how to be more friendly presenting and how to be more personable is like,
Mhm.
people like it when you say their name, just do that. That's something that people enjoy. And then literally the first like four sentences is like, hello, Kathy. Good to meet you, Kathy. Kathy, would you like to get on the go? Get Kathy, Kathy,
Kathy,
Kathy. I
Kathy,
was like, okay,
Kathy,
you're
Kathy.
overdoing again, more autism coding of like too much, too much.
I have a rule. I'm going to follow it. You said use her name. I'm about to use her name. Yep. Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
that amused me.
one thing with the when Kathy first comes up and is, like, I'm not here, and he goes to do his normal routine, which we have established at the beginning, which is, his assistant comes and picks him up, he orders his breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
whatever he wants with cat crafty, and
Mm-hmm.
he's asking for all of the things as he should. He's number one on the call sheet,
He's number
right?
one on the call
And
sheet.
then this time around, he's like, no, I could go to crafty myself, and not, I wouldn't ever,
Gen Pop.
and he's like, mm. Like trying to signal to Terrell, his assistant, like, cool it on the getting me stuff. I'm not
Just a
this
normal
ego
guy.
maniac who's making everybody serve me, right? And I was like, now don't be too hard on yourself, though. It's okay to have somebody bring you your bacon and your smoothie in the morning
Mm-hmm.
when you're number one on the call sheet. It's all
Mm-hmm.
right. It was more of Simon just trying to force what he thinks
Right.
people want
Right.
instead of just being himself.
Yes, exactly. And again, it's not like you're over here demanding like, hey, I need to make sure you get my
Yeah,
da 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 and no pulp and no
right.
this
You're
and no
not
that.
an a-hole about it. He
Mm-hmm.
just,
He's just doing and that's his
yeah,
job too. Is like, let's make sure you're taken care of. Let's make sure you get what you need so you can focus on the work. That's the
yes.
job. So yeah, he definitely overdid it, trying to make himself look good for the article. The lady who's playing Kathy Friedman, by the way, too, also very much like in her bag as far as like just playing this journalist who is playing it very close to the vest. And when we
Hmm.
get the scene later where she finally reveals her hand, it's just like, ooh, there it is.
Yeah. Oh, you sneaky, sneaky. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how you were able to destroy Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
That's how you figured out about the squirrel or the bird. Was it a bird or a
It was
squirrel?
a pigeon. It was a pigeon
Pigeon.
something. I just love that it was like a story from childhood. Like,
Yep.
not anything like that he did as an
Not
adult.
current.
It's just like she went digging.
I found it funny when Simon was talking to one of the set people and attempting to act like he wants to be engaged in conversation when it's very clear that he's not processing any of it or loosely processing. And then
Yeah.
she mentioned something about slush ice and is clearly talking about the weather and he's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
the slush ice is Soren Grindelslev Hansen movie. And so the way he said it made me think it was made up. But then I was like, wait, maybe knowing Simon's film history and he's a film
Uh-huh.
connoisseur, I wonder if that's real. Turns out it is a real movie. So if you want to watch the movie Slush Ice by Soren Grinderslev Hansen, you can find that, I'm sure, somewhere on the internet. It is a real movie. It does exist.
That's really funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we get through the
Oh,
first. Mm.
sorry. That's where I know her from. I could not for the life of me place Kathy Friedman's face. She plays the sister on Abbott. She's what's her face's sister.
Oh, she's ah oh my gosh, now I'm blanking on both their names.
I know. I was literally just watching catching up finally.
That is her
She
sister with
Yeah,
the blonde
Shementi.
hair.
She plays
Yes.
Shementi's sister.
Oh
So
my
different, wildly different
gosh.
character.
Wildly different. Kudos. See?
Lauren
See?
Weedman for you.
Oh my
Abbott Elementary and Wonder
gosh.
Man,
That is
among
funny.
other things.
She's so different in Abbott. Shout out
Yes,
to
she's so
Abbott. You should
different.
also watch. Yeah. Great show. She's hilarious in that.
Yeah, she is.
Okay. How funny. um, so we get to the end of this one segment with Kathy Friedman, and she mentions at the end of her day with Simon, the first day, she asks if there's people that she should be in contact with or reach out to, if there's any particular
Mm-hmm.
people, and blah, blah,
Any
blah. And
friends?
she's like, I'm already attempting, or I've already reached out to
Mm-hmm.
connect to Vivian and
I've already spoken to Vivian.
exactly. And he was like, I'm sorry, wait, my Vivian, my Vivian, and you can see him doing the math in his head, like, what could she have said? Why would she talk to her? Da, da, da. She's gonna make me look bad. Blah blah blah. So the next scene we get is him going to meet Vivian for a drink, and this is the first we've seen her
Mm-hmm.
since the random move out after he got fired from AHS. So I was shocked the first time watching through that she came back for another part of the episode. But I like that they brought her back because we get this
Mm-hmm.
nice moment of them kind of one getting closure on their relationship and what
Yeah.
failed it and why it didn't make it. And then we get a nice fun surprise in what Vivian knew about Simon and
Mm-hmm.
how she kind of kept that, right? So they're having this talk and you can just see Simon's nervous and she's like, don't worry, I talked you up good, okay? I didn't mention anything untoward. I was very
Mm-hmm.
complimentary, and you can see a little bit of the ease coming off his face. And so then they start talking about their relationship, and she was like, you never really opened up to me. And she's like, I kept waiting for you to tell me
Yeah.
basically about your powers. And you can just see him be
Yeah.
like, well, I don't know what
What?
you powers? Powers?
It's like,
Who's got powers? And she's like,
Simon, we live together.
it's like, how do you hide that from somebody living in your
Right.
house? So she essentially reveals that she knew almost the entire time that he had this
Mm-hmm.
ability. She's like, but I was waiting for you to come to me. So she was waiting for him, for Simon to come to her about this, and she didn't feel like it was her place to basically confront him about it. And also it just speaks to, again, do you trust me enough to be transparent with me? And ultimately, I guess that
Yeah.
wasn't the case, and that's why the relationship didn't work. And you can just see Simon thinking to himself, like, I didn't know what I had when I had it. Like, I had a real one and I let it go because I couldn't trust, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
anyone but myself. And so you can just see kind of the brain ticking of knowing that if he had just been honest with her, that he could have kept that relationship. And the one thing he thought
Yeah.
was saving his relationship was the thing that was hurting his relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a lovely little moment. Also, I saw your note too.
I was like, this is where we get the Severance mention.
Mm-hmm.
Severance mentioned.
Severance also
Um,
officially canon in the MCU.
yeah. And so I was wondering because this was filmed in 2023, but I know there were some things also filmed at the beginning of 2024. Anyway, my question was, I wonder if when this was written, if this was, original to script or if it was reshot, were they adding this in thinking it would be niche because when they wrote it, nobody knew about Severance
Mm.
except for you and I? or or was it one of the things that got like added in
Huh.
later? Like, was it a reshot scene later on as momentum was picking up? I wonder. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this could have been a like three people being like, whoa, Severance mentioned if Wonder Man had come out originally when it was supposed to, right? Because Wonder Man was also delayed too. So if this had come
Mm-hmm.
out, it very easily could have come out before season two of Severance, and then it
Mm-hmm.
really would have been like niche, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. And it's a good question because it would be a fun niche mention, like the if you know, you know type of thing.
Right.
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder.
We'll never know.
We won't, unfortunately. Also, I found it funny that whatever she was wearing also kind of looked a little bit like she had just come from
Kelly.
set. It looked like
Yeah.
Severance clothing. I was like, was that on
Uh-huh.
purpose?
Her hair was different than it was in the beginning of the season
Mm-hmm.
two. So I was like, it's so funny because it's like, I don't know, not knowing where season two was gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Mm-hmm.
imagining if like she was cast as like somebody related to Ellie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I found that, yeah, very funny. And I was like, I know they can't take the clothes from set, but she looks like
Right.
she just walked off the Severance set. So I
Hmm.
find that amusing. Okay, so we are now back. That Simon's had this revelation, they've had their closure, and now we're back to Kathy Friedman. She's continuing
Hmm.
on this interview, and now we've got Trev and Simon together for this part.
Yep.
And Trev is, I think, like you said earlier, thinking that he's just going to volley everything to hype up Simon. And if I get a question here or there, I'll just be charming. I'll be Trev, right? And Simon, like you said, is nervous about the fact that she was trying to talk to his mom and his brother. He couldn't get a hold of his brother. And he's just like, what
Hmm.
exactly did Eric say? Just curious, no big reason.
Yeah.
And she was like, he was very lovely. He's like, because we don't have a great relationship. So just, if he said anything, it's because of that.
Yeah.
And she's like, actually, he was very complimentary and he was very, um, very proud of you and very much like esteeming all of your accomplishments. And he was just like, my
Hmm.
brother? So, so again, you get this moment of just kind of surprise with Eric where if he wanted to tank this situation, he could have very easily done exactly that.
Yeah.
And kind of surprises Simon by doing the exact opposite. Now, whether it's again just a covering everybody's butt type of thing where it's like, well, of course I'm not going to mention anything about it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That could get all of us, in a situation. Or if he just truly that was how he felt now that his brother has actually, met some level of success. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so he realizes that's not a problem. And then Kathy's like, but I would like to turn my attention to your friend over here, Trevor. And Trevor's ready with his
Hmm.
little picture that he gives everybody. And my mom, she believed in me. She was the only one who thought I'd have a chance. And now I'm coming back to do exactly, blah blah blah. And she's like, yeah,
Ah,
yeah, yeah. We can come back to your mom and the picture and the blah blah blah. I want to talk about the fact that you jumped off of the plane from LAX and immediately was tackled to the ground, arrested. And you just see, Simon just like, wait, huh?
wait, what?
And he tried to play it off and be like, lady, I don't know where you're getting your facts from. That ain't right. And then she continues on. She's like, actually, I've got video. I've got footage of people who saw it happen. And,
Yep.
the more digging I did, the more I realized that you got broken out of prison before your sentence was complete. So did you finish your sentence or are you still kind of on
Yeah.
the run? And if you are out and on the run, you can't just be running around doing movies. So that means you must have a deal with somebody, right? 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 And
Right. She's like, it's a little more than just a rags to riches story happening here. Explain yourself.
it's just unraveling so fast, and you just see Trevor just like unhinging. And this is the first we've probably seen Trevor really get
Yeah.
one, thrown off his game, and two, kind of get angry, right?
Yeah.
And it's because like, uh-oh, the house of cards is coming down on our heads,
Yep.
and there's nowhere to hide. You can't just charm your way out of it. You can't give some whatever schmoozy reason. And then you see Simon just processing everything and just being like, wait, no, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Wait,
How?
and that how is that true? So Kathy done brought down this whole relationship in one fell swoop.
Yep.
And later on, we get, the conversation between Trevor and Simon. And Simon's finally like putting two and two together and it's like, is it true? Is it? And he's like, well, or, asking questions about, do you have a deal with somebody? And then he finally realizes like, oh, you're informing on me. You've been collecting all this information on me this whole time. You've been basically telling. And Trevor's like, well, I mean, just little bits here and there. And I'm trying to get it figured out. And Simon's just like, got it. Should have never had a friend. This is what I get. This is on me. And now my whole life is about to be ruined. And thank you so much. So this is when we get the epic scene of him like walking through the studio and the way they have the camera kind of rigged his body to like track his movement. And it's all very unsteady and very much like that world closing in type of thing. It's such a cool shot. Seeing all these things starting to rumble and shake and fall off and fly here and there. And just the build of his like expression and anger and sadness and regret and lament and frustration and betrayal. And then it all just kind of culminates. Huge explosion as he literally just like tucks in and implodes internally. And it was just the coolest freaking shot. And then when they pan out to see like the crater he has left, I was like,
yeah,
oh no, you can't explain that away.
Yeah.
You blew a hole in the middle of a soundstage in the middle of a Paramount Studios. They're not going to not see that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fun fact, Andrew Diaz posted behind the scenes on his TikTok, on the TikTok, and he says everything you see reacting to Yaya in this shot is happening practically in camera. So it's everything is rigged to go flying. Everything is rigged to shake. And
I love that.
None of it is special effects. It's all practical.
Love that.
Love it.
We love practical effects. Bring back practical effects. It reads so much different. Like, I understand the use of doing things digitally and it has its place, yada, yada. But like, there's just something there when there's just a visceralness you can feel when things are physically, tangibly moving in the space. I think it affects the actor as well when there's stuff that they can actually be reacting to unconsciously even. Mm-hmm. You are naturally going to flinch if something does this or this in your peripheral without you even thinking about it. Your body's just reacting to the practical physical things around you. And you don't get that when you're walking through a volume set where nothing's happening, you just have to kind of imagine it. I just feel like there's a thing that people can read and you can tell the difference. But yeah, that's awesome that they did it that way. Looked great. It felt also too kind of like, those music videos that were popular in like the late 90s, 2000s that were very fisheye lensed and like everything just felt very tunnel vision-y.
Jamiroquai.
Missy Elliott. Yeah, a lot of those. So it kind of gave me that vibe too, minus the music and the fun. So we are now at the end of Kathy Friedman. We leave Simon standing in a hole of his own making, literally and physically. and there we go. It's time to move on, I guess, to Yucca Valley. In this finale episode, Simon returns to his apartment, assuming that he will soon be taken into custody for what just happened. He calmly calls his mom to tell her he loves her. She can kind of sense something's up, but he tries to play it off and then eventually hangs up to await his fate. But he gets another call, and this time it's from Trevor. He apologizes to Simon and tells him he has, quote, fixed it so that Simon doesn't have to worry. Simon, of course, is confused and doesn't understand, but Trevor hangs up quickly before Simon has time to put two and two together. So as soon as the two of them hang up, it doesn't take long before Simon realizes what Trevor meant. And we see a news story appear on the television that talks about the explosion. And it cuts to a breaking video from none other than the Mandarin. He's back, baby. And Trevor claims to have really been the Mandarin the entire time and that the explosion was his doing. He takes full credit for it. So then we see the DODC and we're cutting to them shuffling around and we realize that they are not going to Simon's apartment. They're actually going to Trevor's apartment. And we see them arrest him live on the news. And Agent Cleary finally gets a man, not the one he was intending, but a man to throw into prison. It fills the quota. So a win is a win in his words. As Simon is trying to process everything that just happened, Terrell comes to his apartment and tells him that Von Kovac never misses a shoot day. Don't care if your friend got arrested. Don't care if he was number 2 on the call sheet. We gotta work, baby. We can't miss production. So he takes Simon to set. Von Kovac then tells Simon to use what has happened and what he's feeling and let it inform this final scene, because today they are shooting the betrayal, the moment where Barnaby betrays Wonder Man. So he's like, use it, use it. So then we jump to watching this same scene play out on the premiere screen. And this is where we learn that it is Joey Pants who has assumed the role of Barnaby, unfortunately. And then we cut to everyone in the audience experiencing Wonder Man for the first time. And it's great. So in the end, the movie is a huge success. Simon and Vaughn start making plans to discuss a possible sequel because, Von Kovac doesn't do sequels. And we then cut to some time in the future after the premiere has happened to find that Simon is now studying for his next role. So he has found Blake Robbins, a homegrown blue-collar worker in Yucca Valley, and has convinced him to let him shadow his life for his next top secret role. So little does Blake know he has been chosen by Simon because he works at the DODC's max security facility. Simon then uses this ruse to get on the inside and find Trevor. As Trevor and Simon are quickly arguing about this not being the plan, we overhear Agent Cleary learning more about the full potential of Simon's powers. Which is crazy. And just as Agent Cleary is considering the possible implications or benefits, the alarms are sounded because Simon has bust open Trevor's cell and flown him straight through the roof. Sorry, that's funny.
It's what happened.
It's what happened. And that's the episode. Okay. I wasn't expecting flown him straight through the roof. Okay. So let's back it up to where we left our boy. He's looking pretty low and pretty sad and very much like he's about to go to jail.
Yeah. Very beginning. Yeah. I was very worried at the opening that Simon wasn't going to be able to keep himself from re-escalating as he's like flipping about in his apartment. I thought there was going to be more destruction following him.
Like a wake of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it would make sense because he's very unsteady at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think there would be more reverberating effects or things happening. But I guess maybe he just, as they say in the theater, left it all on the stage. So maybe he just had the biggest outburst ever and was like, all right, I'm good.
That's it.
I got nothing left to give. But yeah, our man's looking pretty bad. And I was just like, oh, this is like walk of shame times 1,000, like that. Dead man walking, I know they're coming to get me. And the way they shoot it too, because they cut between Simon going home and the DODC is starting to ramp up and you see them kind of getting together and you're like, oh shoot, they done seen the thing or word got out about the studio and they're coming to get him, right? He's having that last phone call with his mom. It's all just seeming very bleak. And then you get that last minute dodge. But that phone call from Trevor, Ben Kingsley, break my heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that you were never not under the impression that ultimately he would do the right thing, right? Even though he was constantly trying to figure out a way that would keep him in the clear and maybe clear Simon, I think you always had a good sense of Trevor ultimately, like, he's gonna do the right thing. He's not gonna just leave him in the lurch. It's just a matter of how and when, right? So,
yeah.
When all shakes down, he finally is like, I know what I have to do and I'm going to do the right thing. And I've had my opportunities. I squandered every single one of them, but this is your opportunity and I'm not going to let you waste it. Savor every moment. It's a lovely speech that he gives him. And even though Simon is confused as all get out the entire time, we know what this is.
Yep.
The Mandarin's here. He's not going anywhere. And I think I also thought, is this going to work for Agent Cleary? Because Agent Cleary is trying to catch like the super, right?
Right.
And I guess at the end of the day, they were like, a body is a body, a person is a person, it doesn't matter.
Right. So I think this made me think that you could probably think of the DODC as like it's any type of major threat,
I
right? So
guess
terrorism
so.
falls into it. So I guess that's why they would also hold someone like the Mandarin. Because I was like, you don't have the Mandarin never claimed to have any powers.
No. I was like, I guess it isn't just a super facility. Yeah, because that
Yeah,
that surprised me that they were willing to just accept that and be like, all right, yeah, that works too.
yeah.
Um, so I was like, well, I guess good that they were flexible or amenable to just having, and it made me think back to that earlier conversation too of like they just don't have enough bodies in that prison to justify it. So
Hmm.
getting anybody in there that's like you said a domestic threat, same difference.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing that sucks is unlike the last time with the Mandarin, right, where you could say, oh, these people conned me into accepting this role and
Hmm.
acting out as this person and it wasn't real and I never did anything. Now it's like, well, now you just tied yourself to the equivalent
All
of
of
a
that.
bombing, right? And that's
Yeah,
not something
all
you're
of
going to be
that.
able to just.
Yeah.
So I was
'Cause
like,
he's
oh,
like, Trevor was the role, you dolt. And I was like, dolt. What a good word. Just means stupid person, but it's a
it
fun word.
does. It is a fun word. And it's a very British way to demean somebody. And I appreciate that. So he's getting hauled away. I also found it funny, and I'm pretty sure it was him in his Mandarin video where he was kind of showing like the world is being manipulated and that everybody's stupid because blah, 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 whatever. When they were showing the
Yeah.
footage of different things he clipped together, I'm pretty sure there was a Josh Gad clip in there, and I was like,
Yeah, I think so.
Josh Gad again? He's back, but he's not. So that was funny, very meta. But yeah, so now they've got their man, Trevor's being hauled away, and then we cut to, we've done this scene. Von Kovac has done this moment with Simon. He's having to infuse everything that he's feeling, which
It's so messed up.
man, that's like the equivalent of like, and this happens, right? There are sometimes moments where actors have to go to set, do a play, whatever, after some major event has happened. I remember watching, this is a random pull, but watching when Vanessa Hudgens, was it Vanessa Hudgens? I'm pretty sure it was Vanessa Hudgens, did the live Grease when they were doing live musicals on NBC for a bit.
Hmm.
Um, and that when they shot that was the day after her father died. And I
Mm.
remember watching it and thinking this may have been one of the best things I've seen Vanessa Hudgens do. Not trying to shade Vanessa Hudgens, but it just felt different. And it again was one of those things where I heard her talk later and she's like, I just used everything I was feeling, like my grief, because she was playing Rizzo, I believe,
Yeah.
like my grief and my anger. And I just tried to let that inform my performance. So I was like, man, yeah, this feels like the equivalent of that, where it's like, sorry, your friend got hauled away to jail. Use it. And it's just like,
Yeah. I was just like starting with the betrayal scene is simultaneously genius, and also just like extremely fucked up. Like
well,
you couldn't
yes,
have done another
yes.
thing
I mean,
today.
Vaughn was probably like, I had this mapped out before your friend got arrested, so that's on him. The schedule is the
Yeah.
schedule, the shoot day is the shoot day, right? I've heard this before where sometimes people will shoot the really tough scenes up top to just get it out the way so that people can
Yeah.
just kind of relax and have fun with the rest of it or whatever, right? That they'll do the really brutal scenes or the really dramatic scenes or really like heavy scenes first so people don't have to like dread it coming. And then the rest of the shoot can just be.
Yeah, you're right. I think I just assumed he did it on purpose, but it probably was already planned. I was like, Jesus, this is
He's like,
messed up.
you're a monster.
What an asshole. My bad.
I mean, but he is a kooky auteur, so I'm not saying it's not beyond him to do. He could have been like, this is very optimal for me. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know, but could go either could go either way. Um, so then right after that happens, is when we finally get the reveal of the Wonder Man glasses. Our props guy
Hmm.
comes back and he's like, I did it. You sent me on a mission and you know what's funny
These are the originals.
after our
Mhm.
conversation with Kat Miller, who does props for Severance, that it really is kind of like fun for prop masters to find these really unique or very like historical, objects or things that tie back. So at first I was like, I remember when he had the first conversation with the prop master and was like, I'd really like to get these as close to the original. I was like, geez, Simon, that's rude. Like, just accept the ones he found. I mean, he did all this work, da, da, da. But now I'm like, oh, this was probably like a little excavation or mission for him to be like, I gotta find
Yeah.
these originals. And now having
Yeah.
talked to a prop master, it's like, oh, maybe this wasn't like this horrible, like, this guy's just being a prick and making more work for
Yeah.
me. But it was like, ooh, he's giving me like a mission to find the
That's a
exact
good
right
point.
ones. Yeah.
Well, and because the guy was like super excited when he
Yeah. And when
had
when
found
he
the right
revealed, he's like, I
ones.
did it. And it was his face in
I
that
mean,
moment that made me think,
yeah.
oh, wait, maybe this was actually fun for him to get it right, you
Yeah.
know? And he's like, I look what I got. I did it, you know?
Yeah.
So that made me change from how I originally felt about him asking for them. Thanks to Kat. Thanks, Kat. Check out that episode if you haven't. Small plug. So he gets to put the sunglasses on, and then you see it pan out, and we get to see the full Wonder Man suit for the first time, which is why I'm wearing my red and black today. A little homage.
Oh.
And we see that he is ready. Not ready, but ready, right? It's like, it's now or never. This is it. The circumstances are the circumstance. And then we cut in to him doing the Barnaby scene. And the worst part is you start to cut out and you hear a voice that's obviously not Trevor's nor who will be filling in. It's one of the ADs
It
or no, what is
mhm.
it? The script supervisor.
Yeah,
Um,
it made me think of the conversation we had a few episodes ago about doing your tapes
mm-hmm,
for auditions
mm-hmm.
and
And your reader.
having a reader who is an actor versus having just a random reader. And I was like, she ain't giving nothing to those
Nothing.
lines. She
Not
ain't
a
giving nothing. Good on him. He did it all.
I was gonna say the reality is that most of the time when you do have a script supervisor filling in that capacity, they
Hmm.
probably aren't going to do much to. Some do. Some, want to try to help you get there, but most are like, I just got to read these lines. My job is to make sure we
Yeah.
stay on book, and I feed
Yeah.
you the lines so you can react. So it is very much on the actor to be able to inform it without that assist.
It makes me wonder how many actors try to get jobs like that because our friend Maydell was a script supervisor on In
Mm-hmm.
Treatment, right?
Mm-hmm.
For
For
Uzo.
Uzo. Mm-hmm.
And I know she's an actor, so it just made me think of, oh, well, I know if she did any reading with them, she was
She
giving
was
it. I
giving
know
it.
she was,
That's
but
a good
but
question. Yeah.
it seems like a good if you could get your hands on a job like that. That seems like a good
That's a good point.
connection
That's a good point. And would
maker.
help the actors, I'm sure, tremendously to
Yeah,
have something, be there with something.
yeah.
But yeah, that lady, she was just reading like, Wonder Man, it is my time. You knew this was coming. Like it just was so and
So
she's
bad.
not making eye contact or anything. So which
Right.
is
And he has to act to the tennis ball
to
on
the
the
tennis
stick.
ball. Yep. I've always wondered how I'd do with that if I ever had to do that. I mean, I guess to some degree I've had to act off of something that isn't a person, but I don't know. There's something about the tennis ball that's so inanimate that you're just like, huh.
Yeah.
Here I am
Right.
just talking to a tennis ball. But then we cut to the scene actually playing out on screen, and then we see that it's none other than Joey Pantoliano.
I thought
Who
it was gonna be Manuel from the audition, the Spanish guy,
that would have been
because
a
he
good
was the one
choice.
on Von Kovac's vision board, and he's like, "Oh, you made your way into my subconscious," you know.
That
So
would
it
have been
made
a
me
fun
think like, "Oh, he
choice.
was probably the runner up for the role." But I mean, we do know that Joey Pants was very, very mad at his agent that he didn't have a
That's true.
audition for for Wonder Man.
Why
So I
didn't you get
guess
me in there? What are you
he
doing? Yeah.
he was putting in overtime to get him once they found out
Oh, as soon as they
the
saw him hauled
Mandarin
off to
was
jail, he
right.
probably called him as soon as he saw the news, like, hey,
He was like, "Hey, hey, get me in there."
get me on the phone with Vaughn right now. Yeah. And the worst part is it wasn't even good.
No.
And here's the thing. We have seen Joe Pantoliano do he's a very good actor. But in that moment, what they had him do was very, very basic. And I was like, oh,
And the
this stings
wig
even
was
more.
terrible.
Terrible wig. Terrible. Why did they even decide to keep the wig? Because like that was just Trevor's
That was
hair.
just Trevor's hair.
They didn't have to do the hair that way.
Maybe that was the look. They were trying to get the look of Trevor.
I didn't like it. I didn't like none of it. And I guess it was meant for us to not like it. I guess we're not supposed to appreciate whoever fills in
Yeah.
Trevor's spot. But it was just an extra sting. It's like, you don't look right and you don't sound right. Nah. But yeah, so he got into the movie and filled the part. I loved when they were watching the screening and you see Simon just kind of like looking around to see how people are reacting to the moment. And then he looks at his
Hmm.
brother, Eric, who's like, you know, a couple people down. And then you see Eric have a teardrop moment where like just
He's
one falls.
crying.
And then he catches Simon looking, and Simon's just like,
He's like,
"Really, bro? You
he's like,
crying at me? I
I'm
don't,
not crying. You
I don't know what
crying.
you're talking
I'm
about.
not
I don't know."
crying.
And you can just see him be
Loved it.
like, hey, I got him. So premiere has gone great. Everybody is raving. They love it. They love Simon. They love Wonder Man. He's the hot new thing. Joey Pants reminds him to invest in commercial real estate.
Uh-huh. Janelle tries to poach Joey Pants. I love that scene. It was so funny because she's like, we should meet up. And he's like, I got the this and the this. And we're just talking. People talk.
People
You
talk.
talking? I'm talking. This guy
People
talking.
eat. He's like,
I was
people eat
like,
too.
I was like, look at this girl work.
She said, I'm trying to build my brand too, baby. Where Simon goes,
So
I go.
funny.
I got an A-lister now, baby. So yeah, very much working it. I appreciate it. And then on that note, we then see, well, first we see Simon talk with his brother, and his brother actually gives him props, and then of course says the
Hmm.
thing that Simon appreciates more than anything. It's like, I wish dad could see you up there like that.
Yeah.
He would have been really proud. But yeah, so of course that's the thing above all things that he needed to just put the icing on the cake of this amazing experience. And so now we've gone outside, we've got the crowds, everyone's screaming his name, they're wearing the shirts, they're wearing the old merch, new merch, everybody's into it. Oh, Simon, Simon, Simon. It's crazy. He has a moment with Janelle. They have a little moment about Trevor. And
Hmm.
he asks, clearly he's trying to figure out if there's any way he can like contact Trevor. And Janelle's like, that is Fort Knox. You're not getting in. They got him
Yeah.
ripped up. Sorry. And then she does go on to say, but Trevor was right about the scripts. We're now getting some really good offers. So the
Yeah.
choice to wait
You have your pick. Hmm.
was a good choice. And so we end with that. Like, so what are we going to do next? And then cut to middle of the desert. And
Yep.
we're in the middle of nowhere. We're following Simon. He's at a bar with this guy. They're talking and having drinks. The guy's kind of like, all right, so I'm not really a Hollywood type. I don't know the whole deal, but you want to follow me? Me?
Hmm.
And he's like, yeah, man, I got to really get inside your head and know how you operate. And he's just very like, I'm just a regular dude. I don't see why I need to be your person. But he's like, trust me, you're my person. So
Yeah.
they have a whole conversation about how essentially Simon's working on his next project. It is very top secret. Nobody is allowed to discuss it. He's got all these contracts and NDAs. They can't talk about it. But for him to really get into character and really know the role, he's got to shadow someone, right? So this is his guy. He basically tells the guy, like, I'm going to need to live with you. I'm going to need to follow you around wherever I can
Hmm.
and just, learn your life. And he's like, you really think that's going to help you? And he's like, oh, yes, it will help me.
Hmm.
So they have this agreement. So we get this nice, it almost feels like the way episode 4 feels, where we kind of get this nice little cutaway, day in the life, slice of life
Hmm.
situation where he's just, going with this guy to his doctor's appointments. He's fixing his car. He's hanging out with his family. They're having dinner. Of course, they're all weirded out because they're like, we have a celebrity
Hmm.
in our house. What do we feed him? I don't know. What is his expectation? I don't know. Kids are excited. They want to talk about it at school. He's like, you absolutely cannot tell your friends at school,
Hmm.
so don't do
Do
that.
you know Dua Lipa is such a kid thing to ask? It's so cute because all celebrities know
I
Ollie.
mean,
They all know
not,
each other.
I was gonna say not just kids though, because adults will do it too, where they're like, oh, do
Yeah.
you know so and so? And it's like, we may both be famous, but
Why?
we don't roll in the same circles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would I know this person?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was just like, we don't get any timestamps on this, but they give you the feeling that this is a long time that he's
Mm-hmm.
spending with this
Mm-hmm. With this
family.
family. Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, he really put in the work because when we finally get to Blake saying, I, did some digging around. I know you really want to see my job, but, I finally worked this out, but we have to go about this like you're my trainee. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. This wasn't even a guarantee. So I think this is what makes me think that he didn't tell whatever role he told him, he didn't tell him it was security specifically
Well, I don't think he
for him
told
to be
him.
like, I don't even Yeah, I don't think he told him the role at all, but I feel like he thinks he's following him for all of it and not just his job, if
Well,
that makes
that
sense.
part, yeah. I think though that I don't think maybe he asked specifically about the thing, but I think he probably implied like it would be nice for me to get to your work or to see
Oh
how
yeah,
you work.
for all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if he necessarily said yeah that it's a
But
security
yeah.
guard thing,
But
but
all that to say was like, wait a minute. None of this was even guaranteed that you would even get in there in the first place.
true.
Wow, you really was banking on this guy pulling the strings for you.
I guess then my question would be like, how long would he have been willing to like stick it out, or how long with his family before they're like, hey, how long are you going to be
Hey, what's
here?
going on?
When do you
Yeah.
leave? Because I get the sense, and this made me think just in general of when this happens IRL with actors, because there are
Yeah.
times where actors have done exactly this, like they'll shadow the life of whoever they're
Hmm.
portraying, or if it's like a similar type of person that they are portraying in a movie, and they'll just follow these people around. And I always wonder, like, how long do they do it? How much access do they
Hmm.
give them? I mean, a lot of times they'll talk to like their friends and family. They'll, try to get their mannerisms down and all these different things. And I always wonder how long are they allowed to hang around and do this? I guess it just depends on the actor, but even for the person that's giving permission, it's like you've got to potentially house them, or if you don't necessarily, maybe that person just comes over for a few hours a day or something. But I always wonder how.
Yeah, it depends on what it is too, right? And I wonder how many are like this where they're like, I need to see your entire life. I'm sure a lot of them are like specific jobs or specific things, right? Where
Hmm.
there are boundaries attached to it. Like I just I recently saw an interview with Claire Danes talking about like watching some kind of surgery or something and being
Mm,
able to like watch in the galleries that are meant for just students and stuff. Like
mm-hmm.
something like that has very strict boundaries around it and you don't have to she's not crossing over into their personal life, you
She's
know?
not in the operating
But
room. Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Things like that. So, yeah, I wonder how many have done this like I'm really going to follow you for
Mm,
everything.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially for those actors that, I mean, I maintain probably most of these actors are very method that need to do this,
Mhm.
but for those
Mhm.
that are like, I have to eat exactly the way you eat, I have to hold my objects the exact way you do, like,
Yeah.
I'd be curious as to how meticulous it gets and how intrusive that is into the life of said person.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I don't know how long it's been that Simon has been there, but like you said, it's clearly been a good amount of time to learn this guy's life and routine and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd be curious what he would have done if he's like, "Hey, I know you've really wanted to like see my job, but that's just not going to happen."
Mhm.
Then what,
Yeah.
But luckily, that's not the story. So, he does end up getting him in. And I found it interesting before he reveals that to him that they have that conversation at while the guy is fixing his car. And he is just kind of talking to him about his life and the financial setback they had with their daughter's health.
Mhm.
And you can see Simon kind of like relate in a different way. Because obviously, we will soon find out that Simon is using this guy for his own personal means. But I think it's in that
Mhm.
moment that he's kind of like, man, this family, like,
They've been through a lot.
they're really going through it. And I want to help if I can, right? So we'll come back around to that. But you just kind of see that moment of connection where Simon kind of is endeared to his side of what's going on in his world, as opposed to just thinking about whatever his objective is. So he gets him to the prison. He tells the people that he's a new trainee, gets him a uniform, all this stuff. Simon puts on
Alfonso.
yes, that's right. Simon puts on a terrible accent. I don't know what that accent's supposed to be. I was like, this isn't convincing to me. I'd be like, where are you from, fella? Because it's not quite a Southern accent and it's not quite like a Midwesterny, and it's Yucca Valley. So this is California, but like,
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like hodgepodge of all of the things because small town Californians think they don't have an accent, but they do,
that's
but I don't know really
true.
know what to call it either.
Yeah. Just like I always say, like a country accent. I think that's
Yeah.
what I default to when it's not specifically Southern or specifically
Yeah.
Midwestern. It's just like it's a country accent. But it wasn't a
Yeah.
very good one. It was especially noticeable to me when he started singing "Mama, Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cows."
Yes.
I was like, he's trying. But I guess that's the gag, right? It's like, oh, I'm just an actor trying to figure out how to do the role and whatever. But the guy bought it, so I guess it worked well enough. I just found
Yeah.
that funny that the accent, because I know Yaya, if he really wanted to do like a quality accent,
Right.
could do it.
Yeah. I think it was more of like
And in the moment,
nervous. You're
yeah.
about to be caught. So what do I
Mm-hmm.
do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they walk around the prison. I'm trying to figure out at what point he shook Chuck, right?
He
Because,
asks for the bathroom. Right after he says, "Where's the bathroom?" And Chuck just points it out to him. He doesn't go with him. You know what I mean? The bathroom wasn't on the same hallway that they were in.
oh, okay. All right.
He told him how to get
How
to
to
it,
get to it. Okay. Okay.
which was his first mistake. Well, and then he also has the benefit of the convenient timing of his wife then calling him at that moment too, to
That's
be
true.
like, "We just got this
A bunch
money
of
in our
money.
accounts."
So that was going to be my next question. What happens to Chuck? Because they got this money, but he just had a prison break and you just brought in a new
Yeah.
person. And I was like, does
I
Chuck
just
go to jail?
Yeah, I just thought of that. I thought of that too. And I was like, all I can say is I really, really hope. Well, no, I was gonna say I really hope that he can say like he really convinced me. But even if nothing went wrong and he convinced you to let this person in, he falsified documents to get him in. So either way, he broke the law, right? Because he
Yeah.
made a badge for him. He didn't get permission for an actor to shadow him. He got him a job as a person, as a trainee there. So I was like, I hope he gave you enough money to flee.
That's what I was thinking. Cause I'm like, all I could think was this time around. I didn't think the first time around, but the second time around, I was like, well, yeah, he got money, but also they just had a prison break
Mm-hmm.
on the day that he brought a new trainee for the first time. And he
100%
forged
gonna get tied
documents
back to
for it.
you.
It's gonna come back to him
Mm-hmm.
unless
Uh,
in the chaos,
yeah,
somehow they don't necessarily connect it to Simon, or because I know Simon like blacked out a lot of the cameras. So
that's what I was gonna say. Unless they can't even trace the explosion back to the trainee, right?
right.
If they can't, they can trace the trainee to Chuck. I said Blake earlier. I realized that's the actor's name. They can't
Oh, okay.
they can't trace the trainee. I mean, they can trace the trainee directly to Chuck,
Yeah.
but if they can't trace the explosion to the trainee, then he should be okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he was blacking out cameras along the whole way, though.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like there's gonna be cameras
Coming
following him
in.
to the bathroom, and then him coming in and following him to the bathroom, and then from that point on they all black out, like they know
See,
it was
that's
him.
my thing is I'm like, he only started blacking them out as he headed towards Trevor's cell.
Yeah.
But he came into the prison. I'm sure there were cameras coming up the drive, coming into the unit.
You know, people can tell me who Wonder Man's enemies are, but this is a good origin story. It's a good
For
origin story
Chuck,
for Chuck to be to be an enemy number one.
wouldn't that be
You blew up my
interesting?
life. It sounds like an origin story of the beginnings of an evil arc.
That would be a crazy villain origin. It's like you came in here, you blew up my life, you literally blew up my prison, and I went to jail for you. So let's just hope. Let's just hope in the chaos and the commotion, because all I could think was he can't just quit. That's gonna look sus.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a federal prison guard, so they're gonna have a record on him. So you can't just like, I don't know. I just was like, I
Yeah.
don't know what happens to Chuck. I was really unfortunately like dismayed
Yeah.
about it this time around because I was like, what happens to him after this? Anyway, we're going to hope for the best for Chuck and his family. And
Mm-hmm.
at this point now, Simon has made his way to Trevor's cell. Trevor is
Yep.
shocked and he's like, oh, that wasn't the plan. You're supposed to be living your life and enjoying being famous and having a great time. And Simon's just like, nah, bro, we're boys. We're boys. I got to get you out of here. And he's like, how are you going to do that exactly? There's guards everywhere. We can't just walk right out of here. He's like, oh, we're not going to walk right out of here. We're going to fly. So this is all new power stuff. It's in this moment that we're realizing that clearly Simon has had some time to kind of figure out himself
Yeah.
fully.
Yeah. I was gonna say, my question was, having to control it on the set of the film help him get better at it. And how did he learn he could stop cameras and fly? How long has it been? We don't know. We don't know how long it has it been since the movie and the premiere and all of
I
that.
mean,
But I'm like, how did he learn he could do all of this? Because before it really doesn't seem like he's able to do anything except do some breathing exercises to stop the destruction, but he can't control the destruction.
right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, just based on the average timeline it takes to make a superhero movie of that scale, at least 18 months.
Right.
You know,
from filming to the premiere, but
yes.
I'm talking about we don't even know how much time has passed since the premiere to now.
But I'm just saying he's had at least a year and a half, right, from when Trevor gets arrested. So my thought is, you know, he's had at least 18 months since then to think about how could I find Trevor and what the heck are my powers and start trying to play around with that. So longer from there, just in terms of from premiere to Chuck and how long he's been with Chuck. Now, where he's been practicing and how he's been practicing, I don't know. Because I'm like, most of your power set is being able to explode things. So where have you been able to go to just like
practice,
explode stuff and not get caught?
Yeah.
That I don't know. And the flying, I definitely don't know.
Yeah. Where's the like Rocky training montage of you being like, oh, now I could do this. Or, oh, now I could do this.
Also, so to go back to your other point. So basically, there is a scene before he gets to Trevor where we go back to Agent Cleary, and Cleary's talking to that one guy whose name we can't pronounce. About Simon's power set and how he's been looking more into what Simon's powers are and his ability to control ionic energy. And he basically tells him that there's been an ionic signature, like everything that incident that has occurred.
Everything that's exploded.
Yeah. The ions have been reassembled. And so that's how his power set works. And that this could be a huge detriment or it could be an asset. And they're clearly trying to figure out how do we want to play it? Like, do we want to try to do a catch and destroy or catch and release? Either way, we got to catch him. So to your point, you were, I think, discussing, or did you do some research? Or
I was just, I just was looking it up. So ionic energy is not a thing, but in physics and chemistry, it's ionization energy. Basically, the definition is in physics and chemistry, ionization energy is the minimum energy required to remove the most loosely bound electrons of an isolated gaseous atom, positive ion, or molecule. So in layman's terms, the ionization energy refers to the amount of force that is needed to pull apart an atom. Think of it like pulling apart various strengths of magnets. Some magnets are stronger, some are weaker, and they're easier or harder to pull apart. And so ionization, how much ionization energy something has is like how strong of a pull that whatever it has on other things. And so, you know, like I said, ionic energy is like Marvel's use of it. It sounds fancy. But they did take the piece of it relating to like he's able to pull apart molecules and reassemble them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we have a loose, I guess, understanding of how his power set works on a subatomic level. So I guess that's how he can turn people's faces into powder bricks.
I mean, to be fair, that was his imagination.
I know, but
we don't know if he can do that.
I think he can.
I don't want to see
it. I don't know if I want to see it again.
Yeah, but like the messing up the signal on the security cameras is like pulling apart the parts of whatever is making it work. Without actually physically damaging it, he can, you know, change it on a molecular level. The other note I had about this part before he gets to Trevor as he's walking through, I was really hoping that we were going to get a who's who of the cells in the DODC, the way we get like we get all these creatures and things that, you know, people we haven't heard of or people you have heard of if you know comics. And when we get to the Collector and Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought they were gonna, at the very least, show us Doorman in one of the cells.
Oh, you're right.
Right? Because we know he's for sure he's there. But I thought we were gonna see some other people, and you know, I was gonna be able to look on the Reddits or whatever and have the people who know more
To
about
get the
Marvel
who's
tell me
who.
who they
Yeah.
are.
Oh,
But
that
they
would have been
didn't
interesting.
show us a single other cell. I was like, what? Between that, those are my two big disappointments about the show is
Okay.
the potential for Easter eggs
Yes.
not actually coming to fruition. This
Mm-hmm.
part, and then some of those we've talked about in previous episodes, how they could have had a post-credit scene
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
this thing or this thing.
Yeah.
What? Wasted opportunities. Maybe they're on the cutting room floor somewhere, though.
Maybe. Oh well.
Yeah.
But you know, if that's the biggest concern we have about this series,
Right.
I'd say
Nitpicky.
it was ultimately a success.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is how the episode ends, and we don't know what the next adventure for Wonder Man and his Barnaby, aka Trevor Slattery, will be. If it ever comes back, please bring it back. I want to know what happens to these two. I need to know.
Please bring it back.
But that's Wonder Man, guys. I had a grand old time with this one. I had a lot of fun.
It is good.
Execution-wise, I feel like it was there.
Yeah.
Casting-wise, it was definitely there. Writing-wise, very clever. A lot of unique uses of the script and storylines. Can't fault it on much, really. And it exceeded my expectations because I truly didn't know what to expect of this.
Yeah,
series.
same. I was like, I didn't have any, so maybe that's easy. But
I mean, I think because I loosely knew the character of Wonder Man, but I was just like, how do you make that interesting, or how do you make that a series?
Right.
I don't get it.
Right.
So I didn't know outside of that how they were going to make it work, and it was quite brilliantly done.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay. And with that, please follow us, if you don't already, on all of the socials. We are on Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, Lemonade, YouTube, and we are at the UUR Pod on all socials. You can also email us your thoughts and questions and suggestions at the UURpod@gmail.com. We also have a Patreon. So if you would like to patron us and help support the podcast and future episodes and endeavors and special projects, you can do so at patreon.com/the UUR pod. And the paid membership tier includes all the extended video cuts of these episodes, as well as various other bonus content and early access to such things. And with that, please rate, review, subscribe on whatever listening app you use for podcasts. And yeah.
Oh, we did it. Okay, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been the UUR. And remember, live life to the fullest, savor every moment. Like I'm gonna savor this orange.
What? She just pulled the orange out of nowhere, guys. Where did this come from?